Hello, friends. The purpose of this video is to go over the diagnostic essay in case you miss class and need to know how to write it on your own. For essay one, you will complete a diagnostic essay that I have started in which you will fill in the 3 body paragraphs and the conclusion on your own. So I have written the introduction, and then you are responsible for the 4 following paragraphs after the introduction, the 3 body paragraphs and the conclusion. The diagnostic essay allows me to offer you some feedback on your writing at the beginning of the course and also to make sure that you are following standard writing protocol. Completing the diagnostic writing is a good way for you to get your feet wet in this course with minimal damage to your overall grade. It gives me a good idea of how much you know about writing literary analysis and how to better prepare you for the rest of the semester. You should make sure to pay attention to the main goals and reminders as well as to the structure of the essay itself. The diagnostic essay is worth 5% of your grade. So even if you, let's just say, screw up the entire thing, you haven't made like complete damage to your grade, so you can still come back. So this diagnostic essay is a good way to like jump into the class and figure out what we're doing. The topic of the diagnostic essay is that we're all going to analyze the short story, The Wife's Story by Ursula K. Le Guin, to determine the theme of the text through the use of foreshadow throughout the text without summarizing the story. Foreshadowing is when the audience or a character can predict what happens in the story based on the details that the author or a character is giving us. Now, I've already written the thesis statement for you, so there's no need for you to write a thesis statement. What you're going to have to do in this essay is prove this thesis statement. So our thesis statement for the entire essay is in this short story, The Wife's Story, Ursula Le Guin uses the literary device of foreshadowing to prove when one dramatically changes who they are, it can lead to doubt and confusion in their spouse's emotional state. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for 3 instances of foreshadowing that tells us that when the main character of the story changes who they are, it leads to doubt and confusion on the part of their spouse. So there's more than 3 instances where this happens in the story. So what we're going to do is look for 3 of them, one for each body paragraph. Remember that you're going to write this essay from the reader's perspective, not your own. So you will not use the words I, me, we, us, you, or our. You're going to write it in the reader's perspective. The introduction with the thesis has been written for you. You will need to write 3 body paragraphs that prove the thesis statement, and the conclusion for the essay. Your main goals for this essay are to focus your essay with a strong thesis statement, which I've already done for you. So as long as you don't change it, you're going to get that one with 100% accuracy. Your essay should show rather than tell. You should use your critical voice to explain. Now, your critical voice is important because your critical voice is not you. It's a critical look, an analysis at the text. So it's not you, it's not your opinion, it's not what you think at all. It is based on the evidence of the text. So we want to be critical in our writing. Topic sentences for body paragraphs 1, 2, and 3 should validate and mirror the thesis statement, which means that the topic sentences must match what part of the thesis statement has. Now, I've already written your topic sentences for you as well, so as long as you're following along with that, you should be fine. You're going to create 3 organized body paragraphs that focus on one main point each and divide your essay into manageable sections for your reader. Now, what that means is that each body paragraph is going to focus on something different. You're not going to bring any of the same analysis in your body paragraphs that you would have in another one. So you want to find 3 pieces of evidence that are completely different from one another so that you're not repeating yourself. You're also going to provide specific effective examples and explanations for your 3 topic sentences. Now, how you do that is by using quotes from the text. This will become much easier as we go through the explanation. This essay must include at least 2 sources with correlating in-text citations and a works cited page. Now, I have already written the author's biography for you in the introduction. So the only thing that you need to do is use the text itself. You should never use any other sources unless I have given them to you. So do not go out to the internet looking for things and putting them in your paper. The only 2 sources that you can use for your paper are the 2 that I give you. So do not add any other sources to your paper. Here is the paragraph structure. We will go more over this in a second when we look at your outline, but you're always going to start with your topic sentence that matches your thesis statement. Then you're going to give background context for evidence, explain what is going on in the story. You're going to introduce the quote from the text with your own words, quote from the text using quotation marks, and end with a text citation. This should be the author's last name only in parentheses. The next thing you're going to do is start your commentary section, and this is the longest and most detailed, and basically this is the part that I'm grading. This is the only part that I really don't give you. So you want to try to focus your paragraphs on these 4 questions. What does the evidence represent, and how the author uses it throughout the story? How does the event or dialogue affect the story's plot? How does the event or dialogue prove the theme in the thesis statement? And what is the result of the event or dialogue in the story? Then you're always going to conclude your paragraphs by restating the topic sentence in a different way and transitioning to the next paragraph. Here are some essay reminders. Make sure you use multiple examples and explanations. Arrange your paragraphs in a logical manner with supporting information. That means that you're going to put your body paragraphs in order of how they come in the story. Your first body paragraph won't be something that happens at the end of the text. You want to make sure that those examples follow a pattern. Each paragraph should highlight the foreshadowed events or dialogue's individualism by making a meaningful point. Make sure that it's a foreshadowed event and that you can explain that so that you can get credit for it. Each paragraph should be a minimum of 8 to 10 sentences. Now, that's a minimum. Please remember that grading in an English composition class is very subjective, and I'm trying to make it as objective as possible. But when you do the minimum, you're going to get the minimum grade. So that 8 to 10 is what you should shoot for, but we're going to try to get more than that so that we can get higher than a 70, because a 70 is average. If you're writing the minimum of meaningful sentences, then that's what you're going to get, a 70. So if you want more than a 70, we have to go beyond, right? A B or an A, that means above average. We have to go beyond what the minimum is. Avoid taking a stance providing examples and explanations that contain opinions. Remember, you're writing in your critical voice. That means that you are not in this at all. Your opinions are not in this. So you don't want to provide examples or explanations that contain opinions at all. You are using the evidence from the text to prove the thesis statement. Again, the complete essay should be written in third-person point of view. Nowhere in your essay should I find these words unless it's a direct quote from the text. Again, as in English 101, you cannot write with contractions. This is college essay work. We want to turn in a college essay. Again, use your critical voice. Show that you have thought out each explanation by giving commentary that accurately links your examples back to your thesis statement. That's the only thing that you should be worried about, is finding examples and commentary that always point back to what the thesis says. Your essay format is similar to the same actually as 101. You will follow MLA guidelines. Your paper should be double spaced with an info block and header, typed with 1-inch margins. You should avoid spelling, mechanical, and grammatical errors. You should avoid awkward or incorrect wording. You should have a narrow topic with a clear thesis, and you should submit 5 clear paragraphs, all indented with clear structure. You should also write your essay for an educated, informed audience who is not in this class and may not be familiar with the terms or examples that you may use. You will need to summarize key ideas, define any terms that might not be familiar, and choose appropriate diction to help your reader understand your topic. What this means is that I should be able to take your paper and give it to somebody who is not in this class and who has never read the wife story, and they would be able to understand what's going on. That's why you have to provide that background information. You have to be very clear in your commentary and explanations, because I should be able to give this to somebody and they should be able to read it and understand it without having read the story. Now, your diagnostic is graded differently than essays 2 through 5. So here at the bottom, this will give you your rubric for your diagnostic essay. So read through that, and if you have any questions, let me know. Now, there are several other documents that you need to know about when looking at this, and one of them is the How to Write Essay 1 Thesis and Topic Sentences. Now, again, we will go over this in class if you're in the in-person class, but you need to take a look first at the map and the outline that's provided for you. So, let's look at those. All right, this is your diagnostic map. I've already filled in your thesis statement for you. I have body paragraph 1, 2, and 3. I have your the beginnings of your topic sentences. So you will need to fill in the example of the foreshadow event for body paragraphs 1, 2, and 3 that you find. Okay. In the middle box, the examples from the text. This should always start. I don't know why it's doing that. All right. This should always start by opening up with the example. Now, if you go back to the How to Write thesis, it tells you how this should be. So the quote number 3, the quote from the text, it should say, the text states. So on your map, I'd like for you to follow that same example. The text states, and then comma. Then you will open up your quotations, type your direct quote, and then you will end with the author's last name in parentheses with the period on the outside. So this example should look the same for each one of these, except that it will be a different quote inside the quotation marks. Again, if you look at this map, this is your thesis statement from your introduction. Your body paragraph number 1 will match number 1 on your How to Write sheet. So here's your topic sentence. One example of foreshadow in the wife story is when. Now you're going to finish this with the summary of the foreshadowed example. Now, the number 2 does not go on your map. That's something that we will add in for the outline. But that one comes in, you should start it by saying in the story, comma, and then you finish that with background information. We'll go over more of this in detail. Number 3 is the quote from the text. So if you go back to your map and you look at that, this is number 3 from your outline. Okay, and then your commentary and analysis will be number 4 and 5. So if you go back to the How to Write, you'll see that number 4 says analyze the text for meaning. Then number 5 says connect the evidence with the theme of the text. Now for your map purposes, all you need to do is start that commentary analysis. So just give me an idea of what you're going to put for 4 and 5. When you move on to the outline, however, you see that you have all of these broken down into 6 categories. So if you put the How to Write paper and the outline next to each other, you will see that the same information should go on the same paper. So if you're looking at number 1, topic sentence, you should start that by saying one example. So you're going to copy all of this stuff from mine onto your paper. Then you'll finish it with your own writing. Okay, the background text info starts with in the story, comma. So that's what yours should start with. Number 3 starts with the text states, comma. You can go ahead and do all of that. Then you can fill in the quote. I'm just going to put dots back there, but you can fill in the quote from there. Number 4 says to analyze the text for meaning. Now this should be 3 to 4 sentences. You're going to tell what the evidence, quote from the text, represents and how the author uses it to foreshadow other events through the story. So you probably want to start that by saying the evidence above shows foreshadowing because. Now, tell me how it shows foreshadowing. How does the author use it? How does it affect the story's plot? What happens because of this foreshadowing? Number 5 says to connect the evidence with the theme of the text. Now, if you look at the thesis that we've already done, it's to prove that when one dramatically changes, so change is the theme of the story. So we want to come down here and say, this example shows how change, how about this? Let's change this. How dramatic change affects one's relationship with their spouse because. Now you want to make sure that you match that thesis statement again. How does the example show doubt and confusion in the spouse's emotional state? So you want to bring that down to number 5. Then number 6, the conclusion is already written for you. So all you have to do is copy and paste it over. And then you're done. So as long as you are filling in where I've asked you to fill in the blanks, you always start with what I give you and then fill in the rest. Now you're going to do that same thing for body paragraphs 2 and 3. Copy, paste over, and fill in where needed. And then at the end, you're going to look at your conclusion, okay? The first thing you're going to do is restate the thesis statement exactly. So go back to the introduction, copy and paste the thesis statement. Went too far. Copy and restate the thesis statement. That's all you need to do from then. Then you're going to evaluate in the reader's perspective how successful the author is at achieving her goal or message. So again, we're talking about dramatic change. So why did we read this story? What did we learn? What does the reader learn? The reader learns that when change occurs. Okay, so tell me what the reader learns by reading the text. Now it says give opinion of the text's value or significance, again, in the reader's perspective. So how significant or valuable is this text? What can we learn by reading or evaluating or analyzing the text? Again, the same thing. And then you will connect back to the hook of the introduction. How does change affect people and people in their environment? Okay, so super easy. Again, it must be 8 to 10 sentences. You cannot use I, me, we, you, your, us, or our. Still here in the conclusion. If we go back to how to write the thesis statement, remember you're going to write the full essay in present tense. None of your verbs should be in past tense because you're reading it today. Okay? Do not use past tense verbs when you are writing about or analyzing a story. Again, don't use first or second person pronouns. Think about how and why the character makes the choices they do or why they say what they do, not necessarily what they do. I already know what they do because I've read the story, so I want to know in your reader perspective, why do they do it? And what does it cause because they've done that? Every body paragraph should have at least one quote from the text with a matching in-text citation, and that would be number 3, and you should have Le Guin in in your body paragraphs. Your other citation is in the introduction, which I've already written for you. Do not change it, and that's biography.com editors. Again, do not use in conclusion in your paper anywhere. You are not in 8th grade. If you are at the conclusion, I already know that's the conclusion. You don't need to tell me. Do not forget to include the works cited page. It's already completed for you as long as you use the template that's on Blackboard. So when you look at that outline, it's got that works cited page on it. Now, there's one more thing that I want to show you. Actually, two more things. One of those things is you do not need to change this introduction at all. Don't change one word, don't change the spacing, don't change anything of the text. If you go back to the Blackboard shell, it gives you an MLA formatted document. You're going to use that to write your paper or type your paper. Don't type it on your own. So when it comes up, it looks like this. Okay, all you will need to do is change your last name up here in the header. So you do that by double clicking, and then you just get rid of it and put your last name. You're going to change the student's name to your first and last name, and then you're going to change the essay's due date. Again, do not change any of the title and do not change any of the introduction. Now, I've already started each body paragraph for you so that it's already indented, and I've already copied and restated the thesis statement for you for the conclusion. So please make sure that you start your paragraphs right here and follow the how to write document. Now, please make sure you know that if your paper does not look like this document, the highest grade you can get is a 60. It must be in this order. It must be, every sentence must start the way I've given you in the directions. So a big part of this class is following the directions that I've given to you. So make sure that you're going down each row and you're writing your paper just like that. Let's see, is there anything else before I let you go? Again, the works cited page is there, so do not change anything. If you don't have your works cited page, that's an automatic 50. If you change your introduction, that's an automatic 50. So please don't do any of that. Keep it all the same. All right, if you have any questions about your essay, please let me know. Otherwise, good luck.